Hi, this is the welcome. Hello and welcome to the Colourways and Coffee Knitting Podcast. This is episode 6, and my name is McKenzi, also known as Colourways and Coffee on YouTube and Instagram. This is a knitting predominantly podcast, a little bit of crochet every now and again. Someone drove past the house. And occasionally designing podcasts. Featuring today's guest of Songbird. There's her nose. And by today's, I mean most days. But I had to take her bone because it sounded like she was rolling boulders down a hill on the camera. Will you stop that? No. She found my one acquisition and sniffing it very aggressively. Okay, let's stop waffling and jump on in, starting with what I'm wearing. We're gonna just move that. Today I am wearing the homeschool cardigan by... Are you finished? Thank you. The homeschool cardigan by Boyland Knitworks, Caitlin Hunter. I love it. It's in Noro Tsuido yarn. So yes, so it's in Noro Tsuido yarn. I don't remember the colorway. I will get the color off of my Ravelry project page. My brain just shut off. Oh my god. It's a bulky weight yarn, oversized cardigan. It's super comfortable. I think Caitlin designed it during the what's the name? During the pandemic, during 2020. Because all of a sudden, she was a homeschooling mom. And it's really cozy. It's really lovely. The yarn was something I've been wanting to work with forever, but just couldn't always justify shelling out the money for it. And I had a lovely aunt who my family does names for Christmas kind of like across all of us, so that we're not trying to like get gifts for each cousin and things like that. So like all of the adults go into the same bowl. We draw names when we get together for Christmas. Every other year it's a whole big thing. And she got me a gift card for my favorite local yarn store, and so I was able to get myself some Noro yarn finally. I was very excited. Yeah, so that's what I'm wearing with this. I also am going to point out my earrings, maybe if they're gonna sit right. I'm not gonna get all up in your face. They're Tlingit, they're by a Tlingit artist. I'm wearing them. It's national. There's a process and the thoughts are just not processing. Today's national, it's Indigenous, National Indigenous Day. Indigenous Heritage Day. I just had it in my head. So today is Indigenous Peoples Day. I'm not sure how well known it is, how well celebrated it is. It's not a state holiday in Alaska. The state has a set number of holidays that they recognize, that they do official holidays for, where things close down. And decades ago, we got rid of Columbus Day in favor of Seward's Day. So I genuinely forgot that Columbus Day was a thing, because we haven't celebrated it since I was like 6 or 7. Like it's but Indigenous Peoples Day was created to celebrate the indigenous people of the Americas, instead of celebrating Columbus in the rest of the states where people do still celebrate Columbus Day, unfortunately. And yeah, so not a state holiday, is a recognized holiday, just as like a concept in Alaska. It is the one that we do tend to recognize and celebrate. If you work for any of the indigenous tribal groups or any of their corporations, it's a day, it's a recognized holiday. Like my mom works for the Native Health Consortium, and so they have today off. It's a whole thing. Little Alaskan cultural tidbit. So I thought I'd wear some of my indigenous made jewelry. I have a lot of earrings by indigenous artists. At our state fair, there's a part of the state fair that's like a permanent part, is called the Gathering Place, and it is a space for indigenous creators and artists and people to come and be able to sell things. And there's a stage, and they do a lot of really cool cultural spaces, a lot of different performance spaces, sharing spaces. I actually watched, I went this year to, the cat ran to where she can't see her. It's devastating. I don't know if you could hear the dog whining. But I went to see the authors of the Chickaloonies. It's like they know I'm doing something. To see the authors of the Chickaloonies do a storytelling hour. It's very cool. I have a lot of earrings made by Alaskan Native artists. These are some of my favorite. They depict bear hibernating and then with like salmon in its belly. So I'm a really big fan. But I've loved blanket art my whole life. Probably influenced by the fable of Raven stealing the sun. That's one of my favorites. I'm a huge fan of trickster spirits and characters in general, cross-culturally. Yeah, so that's the Alaskan cultural what I'm wearing ramble for the day. Caitlin Hunter is also an Alaskan designer, and actually it's an Alaska day, because my mug is also made by an Alaskan potter, Mez, with she's pretty cool because she does, I think, all natural colors in her glazes. So there's no like synthetic anything in her glazes. She makes them herself. Yeah. Maybe as long as I have my mug, might as well take a slurp of coffee. So yes, so it's an Alaska day. It's an Alaska day. Do I have anything else? Except for Pizza John. If you're wondering who the man on the shirt is, since it's very clearly highlighted. It's the Ken Pizza John from last year's Pizzamas. If you're a nerd fighter, you'll know what that is. If you're not, it'll take longer for me to explain it than is worth. So we're gonna crack on to knitting instead. I do not have any finished objects this week, past 2 weeks. Just don't. Which is fine. No finished objects. I have made some progress on my patternless. I can never remember what. I have finished object, I guess. I have no ends woven in, but sorry, I could hear the dog chewing on part of the floor jam in our entryway door. So, like I said, maybe I'll do it this way. Ends not woven in. I don't think, did I have this finished? I don't remember if I had this sock finished last podcast, but I have one sock done, and the second sock cast on to the heel. I know some people match up stripes. I don't. They're pretty close. They're pretty close, but they're not exact. I don't match up stripes. I can't be bothered. And I don't mind them being a little bit mismatched. I think it's kind of fun. These are going to my mom, who also doesn't care if they're mismatched. So, yeah. Let me move my stitch marker so that I know where you guys saw it last. Because theoretically, I should just remember right before the heel, but it's anyone's guess. So, to the heel on the patternless Halloween socks, and they are, it's 62 stitches on size 1.5. Yeah, 1.5, US 1.5, 2.5 millimeter. Needles, I did 62 because on the first one, my yarn got too short for me to cast on 64. Sorry, it's really dry. My nose is just itchy like crazy. I love with this one though how that little bit of the black and the fun kind of variegated black striping works. So you have this little, it just feels very Halloween-y right at that top little cuff bit. I'm obsessed with how that turned out. Yeah, so 62 stitches around, 31 on each needle. When I get to the cuff, not the cuff, heel, which is what I'm about to do, I switch it to 30 stitches, and I flip the one stitch to the front. At some point before I get to the toe, I go back to 31 on each needle, reduce it down to 11 stitches, graft it together. Bob's your uncle. Socks. So I'm hoping to get those done for my mom before Halloween. I am probably not going to get my Halloween socks done before Halloween, but I'm not really fussed about that. I decided to prioritize other things, so not really bothered. Other sock, knocking things over, is the test knit I'm doing for Katie Herrod of Songbird Handmade. These are the Scott Calvin socks. Last time I showed them, I think I was either just before the shadow wrap heel, I think. I don't remember. But I've got the shadow wrap heel done. I'm getting into the foot. I think I'm about halfway through the foot. I'm mostly just working on this one while I'm like sat in class. So I'm just, this foot's moving slowly. I want to have my pair done, but the test knit runs through October 25th, so I have a bit of time, and my personal goal to get both socks done is by the end of November. So I have these for the holiday season, so I'm not super pressed with it because I'm mostly done with the first sock. In the Born Fuzzy Boutique bunny bag, if you've not watched the podcast previously, the Halloween socks are Yarn Smith's merino sock. It's a really lovely yarn. The colors are Boo with an exclamation point, and Off-White, I think, are the two colors. Yeah, Off-White. Scott Calvin socks are with an unnamed Explore Knits and Vibe Cashmere Cavern sock. The neighbor's children play in their yard, and the dog takes great offense to that. It's an unnamed colorway because it's an oopsie skein. Allie does a Leave No Trace collection where she takes all of the oopsie skeins and just things that don't pass quality control for the colorway that they're supposed to be, and you get them at a discount, but they're mystery packs. It's a lot of fun. I've got 3 other skeins from this mystery pack, 1 more of these, and then 2 other different colors that I'm thinking of keeping together and doing a shawl with. Who knows? We'll see. Then the green on, I keep putting it away and I keep pulling it back out. The green is Yarn Smith's merino sock again in bottle, and then the purple is a mystery mini from Little Fiber Yarn Co. So, I like mystery yarn from dyers who I know dye a lot of colorways that I like, because it's a little bit of a discount. And if you do minis, like I like mini tonals, I'm gonna chuck them into heel toe cuffs, or like that's kind of how I use my mini tonal minis. I don't like heel toe cuff and variegated minis, but I love them in a tonal mini. So, moving on. This is my boyfriend slipover. Pattern is by Kevin Haggerty. And I've joined under the sleeve and actually knit a little bit. It's nice having, it's so fuzzy. It's nice having something that's a little bit more DK weight, knits up a little bit faster. This is a little bit on pause right now because I've got some other things we'll talk about in a second that are just taking priority, but I'm obsessed with this. The yarn is blowing out because of how the light is, but let me kind of get it. Yes. So it's a, I think, drop sleeve technically configuration. It's knit top down in the round, so you knocking my notebook over. All my notes. So you have this fun shaping. So you cast on along the back, knit the back, pick up, knit the front, pick up, knit the front, connect those two, knit more of the front, join in the round, and then just shoop, 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 shoop. What's the technical term? Yes. I really enjoy this kind of construction. It's supposed to be a vest. I'm going to just, instead of doing a little rib knit action here, I'm going to just knit sleeves. That's what's gonna happen. Because I loved how the V-neck and the body fit looked, but I want sleeves. I don't want it to be a vest. I think I'm going to get the body done. I'm gonna do the neckline and then I'm gonna try it on and decide, but I think I am going to put sleeves on it. This is knit in Skein and the Stitch Watcher in held together a strand of one of her fingering weight merino yarns and Surrey. That's what's left of this. I have not alternated skeins yet because I'm a nightmare for that. I've paused also partially because I do need to start alternating skeins just to blend between them. So I alternate at the blend, and then I probably won't again. There's sunshine. But yeah, I'm really loving it. It's called the yarn name is the Watcher. It's from her Buffy collection. It's for Giles. So I just call it the Giles sweater. So I kind of wanted like a classic style sweater for it. Just something that felt Gilesy, if that makes sense. There was originally like a turtleneck kind of thing that, whoa, sneeze. I got smell back up my nose. Anywho, I originally had kind of like a mock turtleneck pattern picked out. But that was years ago, and the designer who designed the original pattern I was looking at is not size inclusive and is big enough that she could be very easily size inclusive. She could pay someone to go back and grade her old sweaters to be size inclusive, and just won't. And I can't support that. So, and she doesn't, and her current designs are also not size inclusive. So, because I understand that, like, if you have a large backlog, it's a lot of work to go back and grade more, and it takes time and effort. Like, I fully understand that. I have a couple friends who are designers and moms, and you have busy lives, and you're trying to put out new designs, and you have to go back, and then if you're going to go back and regrade, you have to completely rework the pattern sometimes because you now know more than you did when you first published it. So absolutely no judgment of that space. There are some patterns by designers that, like, I do own, that their current designs are very size inclusive, and their older ones were good for the time, but not good for actual size inclusivity. Like I understand, but if you're a really big name designer and you have a team of people working for you, and you could pay someone to go grade your designs, like that's I have a problem with that. So I couldn't make the original sweater I'd planned. Took me ages to find one that I like, but I'm loving this. Really excited about it. It's the yarn for it's buried underneath stuff that the dog is not supposed to touch, so it's hidden, but it's living right now for this moment in my yarn bowl that is the sun's just casting a shine off of this. My dad made for me because I needed a yarn bowl, and I was like, hey, could you make me one? And he's like, well, does it have to have the little swirl in it, or does it just need to contain the yarn? And I'm like, well, if it contains the yarn, that's all I care about. So let's see. So he made me this, and it like swoops. So how it's turned, it swoops, and it keeps the yarn kind of tucked inside of it. It's really nice. I use it a fair bit. I also sometimes projects live in it, and so I don't use it every time I knit for the whole time I knit because this happens. But I really love it. He's a very talented man, my father. One of my mom's coworkers called him a Renaissance man because he does like woodworking and jam making. He bakes. All of the jam currently in our house was made by my father. And there's a fair bit of it. He likes baking. He does sourdough. He's a great cook. He's just... he washes the dishes. My mom cooks. Like, pretty stellar guy, my dad. Okay. So my next two whips are mkals. So they're mystery knit-alongs. So fair warning for that. The first is the Enchantress mkal by Boo Knits. So if you're doing that one and I'm through clue 2. So if you're doing the Enchantress and you don't want to see, if you are still in clue 1 or haven't finished clue 2 yet and you don't want to see it, we'll look away. I'm going to show it really quick and then I'm going to talk about it. And I'm not going to go into like great detail on the lace and things like that, but it's that's clue 1, and then we have, we can get the lace stretched. It looks weird, but can you see? You gonna focus? It's kind of focused. You can see the beads. Mine is in Fyberspates Gleem lace. Yes, Fyberspates Gleem lace, color 705 Deep Forest. And then my beads are silver gray Ceylon Miyuki beads. I love it. So I learned about Boo Knits from my lovely friend Shelly, who I do know watches the podcast. So hi Shelly. She's lovely. She's a wonderful, wonderful person. So I first learned about boo knits from her. She was doing, I think Practical Magic was the theme last year for the knit along. And last October, I really didn't have time to do a lace knit along. I had some lace yarn. I was like, well, maybe, but I just didn't have the time. So when Boo Knits announced it this year, and Shelly was sharing it in the Discord group that we're both in, I was like, you know what? I wanted to do this last year. I didn't. I'm going to do it with you this year, Shelly. I'm going to do it too. So I got the Gleam lace, got my beads ordered. I'm having a great time with it. I'm already planning on doing next October's. I love a lace shawl. I love a bit of lace. And this is my first time putting beads on a lace shawl, so I'm very excited. It's a lot easier than I thought it was going to be, and I'm having a lot of fun. Yeah. I've chose with my color. I chose my yarn, and then I chose my beads. So I knew what I wanted the yarn to be. And I went with the DP kind of green, for those of you who did not look at the shawl because you're knitting it. If anyone did that. I went with like a deep kind of moody-ish green with subtle variation. It's really pretty. Deep Forest is a lovely color. I guess I can show if you didn't want to see the shawl. That's the color of the yarn. Excuse my nails. I have not had a chance to redo them. So yeah, it's lovely. My idea with the silver beads was kind of like with the concept of enchantress, and the silver beads was that kind of like deep, moody, foresty witch kind of thing. And then with the silver, like you know how mist like gathers and rises up in woods sometimes. So like witch with like, I guess like dewdrops or like mist drops kind of catching in the shawl. That's kind of my vision with that. If that makes sense. That was the vision. That's what I'm going with. That's my vibe, my theme. Yeah, I'm excited about it. I've started a couple of mystery knit-alongs. I didn't finish either of them. And so I was like, I want to finish an MKal that I'm actually going to really love the end product. And with Boo Knits, I was kind of like, you know, even if it's not my favorite lace pattern, it's still gonna be a beautiful lace shawl. Like it's still gonna be a beautiful lace shawl. Like it can't be a bad. If you look at like kind of her catalog and what she does, you know, I'm like, I know that it might not be my like ideal lace shawl, but it's still gonna be a gorgeous lace shawl. So that is that mystery knit along. My second mystery knit along is the Stephen West MKal Go Go Dynamo. Yeah, I'm gonna show my yarn first for that one, and then I'll show it really quick. I am not even done with Clue 1, so most people are probably fine to see it. If you're also working on Clue 1, I have my semicircles done, and I've got 3 of the 4 garter stripe sections done. So my semicircles are all joined, but I'm missing that final chunk. So I'm not that far along. And there's a reason for that. So I'm doing 4 colors. Maybe I should explain the reason. Maybe I'm going to show the colors. I'm going to show it, and then I'm going to talk about it. Yeah, okay. So I've got 4 colors. So I'm doing 3 colors. So these, if you were a long-time viewer, few-month viewer, You might recognize these from my Find Your Fade shawl. I'm frogging that. I just have zero desire to pick it up. I picked that as one to knit before I had knit some like smaller lace shawls, and I've just come to the realization that like the Find Your Fade is, my foot's falling asleep. The Find Your Fade is, it's a nice shawl. It's big, it's beautiful. And I think it's so big, and it's mostly garter, and the eyelets, I'm bored with it. And I don't want the end result, I think, enough to finish. I think if I had like 7 yarns and the quantity she says, and I did like that kind of fade, I think I might stick it out, because then the colors are changing faster. I don't have that. So at least as of right now, I'm not gonna succeed that one. Will not be completing my Make 9, because I've lost all interest in completing that shawl. So I took the three of the 4 yarns from my Find Your Fade to knit the Go-Go Dynamo. The 4th yarn I have, I feel like, you know, Cinderella, the cartoon, when Gus, the little mouse, is like stacking up corn. I feel like that a little bit. So the 4th yarn I have is Yarnsmith's Merino Sock. It's a gorgeous yarn. It's a gorgeous yarn. I just got my hands on it recently, and I'm obsessed with it. Obviously, it's in everything. Color accuracy is difficult with the light we have right now, but it's early morning light. I can't record later. I have a really busy day, so we're just accepting it and rolling with it. It's got the needle stuck in it. It's chaos. It's chaos. So yeah, so there's originally a darker pink. If you've seen my Find Your Fade, that was the color I was starting with. I did not like how it was working with the colors in this pattern, so I swapped the dark pink for this, which my brother was looking at the dark pink, and he goes, it's kind of like if you like blend up blueberries. It's a very blueberry color, and now I can't unsee that, so now I'm like, what could I make that was a blueberry vibe? Maybe I might make a single skein shawl out of that other skein. Maybe. So, this is my part of clue, the start of my clue 1. Ooh. If you are further behind than I am and you don't want to see it, avert your gaze for a second here. So that's how I'm working it so far. So you can see how that purple looks. So it's like, it's already quite long. And I have to repeat this wedge over here. So, okay. Dynamo is off screen. So yeah, so the reason I've got 4 yarns colors instead of the 2, he says, is because I wasn't planning on doing this. I have a lot of really lovely friends in Kelly Menzies, where One Kate's has a Discord. That's the Discord I'm in with my friend Shelly. Yeah, so a lot of the gals in the Discord do the Seam West mkals every year. I was not planning on doing it. I think it was Exploration Station, I think was the one 2 years ago. And that was the first one that I had seen. Kelly vlogs it every year, and I enjoyed watching her vlogs. It was interesting seeing all the colors everyone picked. I did not like the shape of that one at all. So when last year's rolled around, I was like, no, not gonna bother, not interested. Again, super busy October anyways, didn't want to bother with it. And so last year's had a bit of a kerfuffle at the start. And then a lot of I think some of the variations that people have done are just stunning. My friend Matthew, Fairy Godfather Knits, he's also in the Discord, and he did Entrelac in his center square, and it was just absolutely gorgeous. I was like, if I ever decide to knit this shawl, because I do like how the final shawl looks, I decided that if I ever decide to knit this shawl, I'm stealing Matthew's Entrelac idea for the middle, because it's just, it's gorgeous, and it looks so pretty with how the wings are built. But yeah, a couple of my friends with the striping, and it was just repetitive and very much people thinking it was a little bit boring to knit on. So when it rolled around this year, I loved the star something that he had held up as an example of kind of what the contrast would be like, that similar level of contrast. I really like, sorry, a little bit snoozy this morning. Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, so yawning. So if there's random chops, it's either the dog barking or me yawning. So I love that contrast level, so I was kind of like, well, maybe, but when it was initially announced, I was in kind of a stressed space, so I'm like, I'm not gonna put that pressure on myself. I'm just gonna I'm not gonna do it, especially because if I put that pressure on myself and then I don't like the shawl I get out of it, that's gonna be upsetting to me, and I'm like, I've got enough going on. So then what I do is, because I like seeing what's happening, I go to his videos, I scrub to the end, and I just look at what each clue is as it finishes. And week 1 came out, and I was like, oh no, I kind of like what's happening this year. Like, I'm kind of digging clue 1. Like, I'm digging that. And then all my friends are knitting it, and they're all having beautiful colors. And I notoriously don't suffer from FOMO. I just don't. I'm like, well, if I miss out, I miss out. Long established from like college and those spaces, I'd have friends who'd be like, well, but if we don't go to the party, and I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to be at the party. I don't care if something amazing happens. And I wasn't there because I didn't want to be there to begin with. So the FOMO part doesn't get me. But I was starting to really like the clue and all my friends' versions. It was just so pretty. So I was like, well, I'm gonna wait till week 2, because Stephen West has some brilliant designs. They're not usually my style. I'm not like that bold. He has a fondness for bold geometrics that I love looking at. I'm not gonna wear a lot of that. So I've not really knit any of his stuff before, and so he sometimes does some interesting things with the mkals. He takes, he takes some journeys sometimes. So I was like, well, like, we don't know. I don't know. It could go really weird next week. So I was like, I'm gonna wait till week 2, and if I like week 2, then I'll get the pattern. And so week 2 came around last Thursday. I scrubbed to the end, and I was like, oh man, I actually really like it. So got the pattern, stashed over yarn, and I'm now trying madly to catch up. I'm not too pressed about finishing it perfectly within the month, but I also have a feeling that if I don't try to keep up, and it's not done or close to being done at the end of the month, I'm gonna just not finish it. So trying to catch up. I also am trying to catch up because the final clue for Boonit's Enchantress drops Friday, I think. So a small clue drop today. I've got clue 3, clue 4, and then clue 5. So I'm trying to get caught up on the Enchantress. I'm trying to get caught up on the Go-Go Dynamo. So they're kind of my focus whips this week. And then hopefully I'll be caught up enough that I can kind of casually work on the Go-Go Dynamo and focus on the Enchantress, since the final clue is Friday, and so it's going to be, it's done faster than Stevens is. But I do think, I mean, like, I'm getting caught up, and I do think that this year it feels like he might have done, I know that some people have said, like, you know, the first week is like just over, and in previous years, and then you have like a lot of really hard stuff like later on, and so you have some weeks where you're scrambling to get caught up, and some weeks that are just, they just are so easy that you're spent the whole week like being like, well, what do I do? So it does feel this year like he's got a bit more of an equal distribution of knitting, possibly. I do think that if I had started when it was supposed to, like, I've been able to very comfortably finish week 1 within a week. And mostly I'm just pressed for time right now because I'm trying to get it mostly caught up by Thursday. I work all day Wednesday, so. But I'm like, if I'm close, I have all day Thursday to knit, so. We'll see. I will not be vlogging it because I do not have the time or mental space to vlog it. I'm gonna leave that to my lovely friends. Kelly Menzies, Roro Kids, is vlogging it. So is Kat, Dexter Loves Annie, and so is Matthew, Fairy Godfather Knits. I know all 3 of them are vlogging the MKal this year. So I'll put links to them in the doobly-doo. Because they're all really lovely, and I love watching their MKal videos even when I'm not knitting it. So yeah, I will not be vlogging. I might do a small like check-in video, just a little quick snippet video on the Fridays following each clue release, and then I guess it would be on the Friday following, like on the 1st of November, to see if I'm like close to being done, just to kind of share progress as it's happening, but we'll see. So I've waffled on about that long enough. Moving on, I don't have any yarn acquisitions. I'm trying to slow my roll with buying yarn. I do have I have one, but it's mystery. It's the Dragon Horde Yarn Company. She did a Court of Nightmares Halloween box, and I got myself that. I didn't get an Advent this year, and so I got myself the Halloween box because that just sounded so fun, and I love dark moody colors. So I got to start opening that up on the 20th, I think. So I probably won't have it to show at the wrap up because that'll come out before the end of the before 31st of October. It comes out, I think, the like 26th or something. So I probably won't show that in October, but I'll show it in the first podcast in November, more than likely. I do have, that I forgot to show on my sweater, I have stitch marker acquisitions. So I have this little ghosty holding a pumpkin. He's so cute. He's so cute. He's the shiny from Shiny Ghost. Adorable shiny ghost. Trying to get all the string ends tucked in so the cats don't attack that later. And these are all by Kelly Menzies, Roro and Cades. There we go. So the ghost and the pumpkin are two of her Halloween stitch marker updates. And since I they were so cute, I had to have them. And since I was paying for shipping, I was like, well, I need to get all the other ones I've been wanting for so long. Because shipping from the UK is not horrendous to Alaska in terms of what shipping costs to Alaska in general. But it is enough that I buy 5 stitch markers instead of just 2. So I've got Chad, my little blue. Again, sorry for the state of my nails. It's been a week. Little blue chicken and Winston, little wolf. And then I just think the toadstools are so cute. So cute. And the little ghosty and pumpkin. And now I can put these in my stitch markers. Yeah, Kelly makes them all herself. Fantastic seed bead skills. And the blue chickens are coming soon. They're not, at least I don't think, currently available on her Etsy, but they are coming soon. But mine is blue. I ordered a brown chicken, and Kelly messaged me, and she was like, hey, I saw you got a brown chicken. She said, do you want me to do a blue one for you? Because we're both Stardew Valley girlies. And I was like, absolutely. Because if there had been blue as an option, that's what I would have ordered. And so I got a blue chicken. I got the first blue chicken, actually, I think. Which is pretty cool. So, not up on the shop now. They are coming. You can follow Kelly on Instagram. She posts updates to her Etsy, about her Etsy, on her Instagram. Or you can just, on Etsy, follow her shop. That's an option too. Roro and Kate. Yeah, so that's my acquisition for the month. Getting, oh yeah, quite lengthy. So I'm gonna wrap this up. Life stuff. I'm working school. I'm in my 6th week of the quarter. I am very ready for the quarter to be done. I get a 6-week break at the end of the quarter. Looking forward to just having work and knitting. You know, it'll be nice. So yeah, you know, fall is falling in Alaska. We've got our regularly scheduled wind, which I was raised in. It doesn't bother me, but it is a presence. The dog likes to just stand in it, stare into it, and sniff. So bathroom times are real fun. Luckily we have like a pocket of our backyard where like our sunroom extends into the yard, and so I can kind of like see her and be positioned behind the sunroom so the wind can't hit me too much. So like it's not the end of the world, but bathroom time does take like 2 to 3 times as long as it usually does because she's sniffing the wind. Yeah. I also want to say a big thank you to Carla for giving me a shout out in her last podcast. She's currently doing Vlogtober. So knit, create, and repeat. I'll also put her in the doobly-doo. She's lovely. She's wonderful. And really gave me a lovely shout out. I just want to say thank you to Kat and Kelly, who I know give me shout outs. I think I have said thank you in previous podcasts to them, but then I couldn't remember if I had, and I don't have time to scrub through my own podcasts. There's only a couple of them, and I still just don't have the time to scrub through and see if I thank them already or not. So just gonna thank them now because I appreciate it. They're lovely, lovely people and just wonderful knitty friends. Yeah, and I think that is everything. I think that's enough of me waffling. So I'm gonna get this edited, get it uploaded, and get going on the rest of my day. Yeah, so thank you for watching. If you enjoyed it, feel free to give it a like. Give us a subscribe if you want to see more of it. If you want to see me elsewhere on the webs, I'm on Instagram at Cottywamples and Coffee, and I am on Ravelry as Cottywample Knits. And that's pretty much where I am. Just those 3 things. That's YouTube, Instagram, Ravelry. That's more than enough for me to keep track of. Yeah. So I hope you all have a lovely, lovely day or evening, week, rest of October. Enjoy spooky season. If it's your vibe, if it's not, enjoy, your fall or spring to our friends in the Southern Hemisphere. And with that, I will say goodbye and see you next time.